Now, this Saturday at the Velodrome on the outskirts of Manchester, Ricky Hatton promotes a terrific night of fights. It includes a world title and a brilliant European title and another version of the European title, but there are all sorts of fighters on the bill. It's a big one, and to talk me through each fight, I thought I might do it this way. Talk me through each fight. I'm joined, I'm delighted to say, by Ricky Hatton on the line now. Good evening, Rick.
Good evening, Steve.
How are you, son? Ricky, first of all, have you got over what we watched in the middle of the night, the Manny Pacquiao stuff yet? Have you recovered from the shock?
I have. I think I have recovered. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a shocking result as far as I'm concerned. You know, we knew watched it, Steve, and we started off well, Bradley, in the first round, and looked very, very relaxed and comfortable. But then Manny put his foot on the gas, and he looked like he was on the verge of stopping him, but Manny lost his way, and Bradley did bank a few rounds towards the end. But if we're going to be really, really, really generous and say he won the last four, that's still only 5 for me. And
at the most,
no, it was a shocker really, because I've boxed Manny and Floyd Mayweather. Is a bit disappointing because I think he took the spark off that fight now, which was the one all boxing fans are really bothered about again.
That's the one it was. Let's go through, if we can, this Saturday. I want to get a little bit of a mention on all of the fighters, or the most of them that are on. Let's start with Scott Quigg, Munroe. It's WBA interim super bantamweight title. I mean, it's about. I love this one. It's got just about everything, hasn't it?
It has really, it's like, the old, well, I was going to say old, and that's probably a little bit disrespectful to Randall, to be honest. He's in his prime, he's at the top of his game. But what I mean is he's been the number one for a number of years now. He's been European champion, he's fought very gallantly and for his world title shot. And obviously you've got Scott Quigg, who the guy is everyone's talking about, massive potential, though he's been spoken as of maybe a future world champion. And I think he's maybe took a little bit of the limelight, and I know it's rubbed Rendell up certainly the wrong way.
Certainly has.
As it can do, really. So Rendell's got the bit between his teeth. You know what, there's always a young contender to the throne, and that's exactly what Scott Quigg is to Rendell Munroe. And Rendell's an angry man. I know this is really, really upsetting, and angry men can be very, very hard to beat. So it's going to tell us a lot more about the new contender to the throne, which if everyone's talking that way, it's Scott Quigg. And
that's what we want to see now. And what about the European title fight? Rabchenko, a guy that you work with, and Ryan Rhodes, who seems to have been around forever and is still only in his mid-30s. It's a crossroads fight, in fact, for both of them in many ways.
It is really. I mean, to be honest with you, Ryan Rhodes has got the experience. A lot of people are saying how much has Ryan got left, but since he made his comeback, I think he's never looked better. I think his comeback was the best part of his career.
It was, yeah. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously Rabchenko it's a move up in class for Sergei Rabchenko. I've been working with him for a number of fights now, only officially maybe for the last couple of fights as his full-time trainer. But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things with him. I've improved in his style. I'd like to think he was a typical Russian, straight back, what you see is what you get. Here comes the right-hand side, but I'd like to think I've added a bit to his game in a short space of time. Ideally, I would have liked a little bit more time, but I think he's more than ready for it. It's another 50-50 fight. They're both big punches, and it's going to be another barnstorm, I think. I think it'll be a tussle between which is the best fight of the night, to be honest, between the main event with Rendell and Scott and Rabchenko and Rose. I can't think for the life of me how both of them fights are going to disappoint.
No, they couldn't possibly disappoint. What about the big heavyweights? Fella, another guy from Sheffield, Richard Tower, spent some time in prison, turned his life around. You got him in an EU heavyweight fight against Gregory Tony from France. Big Richard. I mean, you got to love Big Richard, haven't you? He's just, he's a fantastic character.
He is, yeah. It's good for boxing, and everyone likes a nice story. He's reformed his life. He's got back together, and he's putting it into. He's been making very positive moves now, and you've got to cut you off and pat him on the back, to be honest. It's really exciting times for the British heavyweight domestic team, because I think it's been a bit dull, no disrespect, over the last few years, but now you've got David Price and Tyson Fury, who are a little bit ahead of Richard, progress-wise.
And Richard will admit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is a little bit, but you know, the EU title is up for lines, and if he makes it a massive performance, a good performance, I'm not saying he overtakes them, but he goes right up there with them then. And we're talking about, you know, when we talk about the heavyweight division in this country, we're not just talking about the two, we're talking about the three, which is Price, Towers and Fury then.
Absolutely. Now, and then also you've got current British middleweight champion Martin Murray in there against the Frenchman Karim Akour. Murray obviously still looking for another world title fight. He got in one last year, and he got a draw out there in Germany. What's on the? Just talk briefly about what's on the horizon. Throw it forward with Martin if you can, Rick. Yeah,
well, to be honest, Martin, you know, a lot of people thought maybe it was a little bit too soon for Martin. He was British, was for his British title, and then went straight in for the world title. But he certainly proved the doubters wrong. He was more than ready for the world title stage, and this fella's a feared man, to be honest. He just wants to fight everyone. We tried to make the Macklin fight, and Matthew Price himself out of it, but that's a fight we can go back to, you know, a little bit further down the line. We got him a WBC middleweight title fight against Julio Cesar Chavez, but like Richard Towers, Martin Murray was a naughty boy a few years ago, and he's a reformed man himself now.
And couldn't get the visa.
Yeah, which is another nice story. He couldn't get a visa. He will get a visa. It just didn't give us enough time on that occasion. But I'm hoping to announce something major for Martin in the next couple of weeks, to be honest with you, Steve. And to be honest, but this is his shot window. Yeah. He's got to show how much he's improved from the Felix Sturm fight. He's got to turn around and say to the likes of Matthew Macklin and Darren Barker, and against all the middleweight champions up there, that listen, you know, there's a guy from England and I'm the number one, you know, and so it's it's a big night for Martin as well.
Now, there's tons more, but I'm going to ask you just quickly about your heavyweight, Lucas Brown. What is he, a surfer or some sort of deal? I mean, I know he's a big old lump. What's the story with him?
Well, he is, you know, I mean, because of the Cost-Yazoo, victory that I had, I've gained a lot of friends from down under, as they say, and no, I mean, my friends got in touch. They said there's an Australian heavyweight here that's, he's an Australian heavyweight champion, 12 fights, 12 wins, 11 knockouts, and would you like to do something with him? I put him on one of my shows. I think he did a little bit of cage fighting a few years back, and he's done a little bit of surfing and whatever they do down in Australia. But he's exciting for boxing, and bringing him over here, hopefully we can maybe get him in a Commonwealth title fight. That's David Price's title at the minute, but David Price seems to be moving that quicker rate, Steve. He might move on, and then Lucas can come up, get that Commonwealth title maybe, and then put himself in the frame. But I mean, he's a phenomenal puncher, really big lad. Been in the gym today doing pads with him, 19 stone really. My arms nearly ended up doing the pads with him. My arms they looked like Inspector Gadget by the end, to be honest with you. But no, I mean, it's great, and then you've got the young talent that are coming through the rankings. So it's a first class bill, and I think it's the best bill I've put together since I've been doing this game.
Listen, without a doubt, it's the best bill. There's tons of fighters on there. Adam Etche sells tons of tickets. Craig Watson coming back. All sorts of fighters. Listen, Rick, it's been a pleasure talking to you tonight.
No problem, Steve, as always.
Now, listen, I'll speak to you very soon. That's Ricky Hatton's show with the top of the bill, a lovely fighter called Scott Quigg against the real good pro Munroe. It's on Sky from about 10 o'clock. And on the subject of that WBC title fight, the guy that filled Martin Murray's shoes is Limerick's Andy Lee, and he fights Chavez this Saturday or middle of the night, between 2 and 6 on Box Nation. That's a brilliant fight. Now,